Shwmai, croeso, hello and welcome to the Bluebirds Nest, Neath yr Adael Gleision. Before we begin this week, a couple of announcements. Firstly, a quick mention and thank you to our sponsors, DragonBet. If you're over 18, head on over to dragonbet.co.uk, where, as always, some fantastic sign-up offers for new users, waiting alongside some brand new offers this week, particularly around the Cymru Premier and the race for the playoffs. Very much worthwhile looking at those. Please gamble away. Please gamble responsibly. Also this week, we've got to give a massive congratulations to centre-half Lee Jenkins, who just this week represented the Wales C team in their fixture against England. So that's back-to-back call-ups for Jenks following last year's 4-0 thumping of the old enemy. But they did get their own back on Tuesday night with a 1-0 win in Altrincham, I believe. So, yeah, llongyfarchiadau, Jenks. Hopefully a hat-trick of call-ups next year. Right, on to this week's episode then, number 26. And our focus is very much on the next generation of Bluebirds, as delighted to welcome three key leaders across the club's academy. Firstly, Head of Development, Steve Batty, Head of Youth, Gareth Lewis, and Head of Foundation, Dan John. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you, evening.
Thanks, right.
So I've got a fair list of questions for you all. So we'll go round in a bit of a circle. Steve, I'm going to come to you first then, if I can. You've been a very important part of the club's academy structure for a number of years now. I didn't like to guess, but I'm assuming it's not far, probably over a decade. There seems to have been a bit of a conveyor belt from the academy over the years. And, well, just looking at this season alone, we've obviously got Yori Humphreys, Lucas Davis and Harry John, who've become sort of regulars in the first team squad, to be fair. We've also had lots of appearances in the squad. John Chesters, Seth Woodhouse and Dan John earlier in the season too. And those individuals in particular, they've come through the academy system. What sort of numbers over the years, Steve, have progressed from the academy to senior football? And I suppose the second half of the question is, are those numbers of players progressing to the first team and senior football? Is that the key measurement, do you think, of the success of the academy?
I think from my personal side, I think I've been involved in the academy since I think 2011, when I started with the under-19s as assistant to Mark Folson. And one of the things that we did put together a couple of years ago was a list of players since 2012, I think, that have progressed and played under various managers in competitive fixtures for the first team. The last count of that going to sort of press, I think it was somewhere in the region of 46 players. And obviously that's not taking into account the players that are currently there now. So I would imagine it's into the 50s by now, which over 10 years, 5 a season, I think is a fantastic achievement from all the coaches and everybody in the academy. In answer to your second question, how do you, or the measurement of it, I think, again, the under-16s currently were under 8s when I took the academy on. So for a personal part, the measurement for me is where these under-16s are now. And I think up until recently, obviously it's gone one player, one club, and some players have left. But currently that was one of the better teams in the Welsh Prem Academy. So I think there's definitely at least 5, maybe 7 players that are going to hopefully filter into the development team next year. And will be more than adequate to push for places as well. So again, I think that's a fantastic measurement that there's plenty of players there. Obviously, Gareth will speak about his group as well, but right the way throughout the academy, I think we've done a fantastic job over the last 10 to 12 years. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's testament to the coaches and the hard work that's gone in there. And probably a lot of it unseen work, daily, weekly, and over the years by all the academy coaches. It's a large factor in those stats. And again, congratulations, I suppose, to you all, because that is some going. On average, looking at five every season. That's a big input for the first team managers over the years to use those players. Then, locally, then, is there any any particular standout players who perhaps are playing Pembrokeshire League or in other Welsh League clubs, and you think, well, perhaps they didn't quite last too long with the first team, but again, to be celebrated.
Yeah, I think there's definitely the likes of Leon Luby, Jake Mary, players like that at Hakin, Jack Britton, and then you've got the likes of obviously Dan, who helps me with the development. Obviously, he was one of the first players who I came into contact with when I first took on the development team as a permanent. He himself, Guion, numerous others in that age group have gone on to play for the likes of, obviously, Greg Walters is still at Carmarthen. Obviously, Dan went to Cardiff Met. Guion Howell went to Cardiff Met, played in the Welsh Prem. I think Dan, if not mistaken, has played in Europe. So, and then there's other players like Matty Delaney, who's currently at Carmarthen, who didn't play for our first team, but yeah, they're sown all around Pembrokeshire and thankfully all around West Wales as well.
Yeah, no, fair play. And again, it's the wider impact, I suppose, on the academy. I think, well, all of those individuals, I know most of them, if not all, and I think there's the distinct sort of characteristic coming up for me is the sort of attitude on those individuals. And I think particularly this year as well, the three I mentioned who have been in and around the first team, Yori, Lucas and Harry, I've seen those the most obviously this season. They've immersed themselves in what it takes to survive, I suppose, in not only the first team dressing room, but as a senior player, a football player. Dan, I'm going to come on to you next. You're dealing with the younger phase players at the club. Well, the I think it's 5 to 6 year olds upwards to 12.
Yeah.
I know Matthew Fox, to be fair, in the pre-academy, dealing with the younger children again. I wouldn't mind a chat with him to see how his patience is with kids that age, to be honest. But we'll have to get him on a future episode. But when I mention attitude, Dan, is that something that you look for when you're recruiting players for the foundation phase? Or is it just about technical ability at that age?
I think we look at a lot of their aspects, in relation to their sort of psychosocial traits as well. Yes, they've got to be technically, gifted in the way that they can be creative and express themselves and things like that and be creative with the football. But yeah, we also look into their psychosocials and their physical attributes as well. Not obviously putting them into sprint runs and things, but more of their agility, balance and coordination. And we look at a long range of stuff all the way across the board with sort of the philosophy that we put into the foundation phase with the pillars that we work to. And we kind of work in a way of getting these players prepared for when they come into Gareth's phase, as soon as they come into competitive football, so we'll start at a very young age, more working in 1v1 situations and things like that, just making sure that they are creative with the football, taking players on, having loads and loads of fun, scoring loads of goals, because, that's what it's all about. And that sort of gives them the bug. And obviously then as they go up through the ages, through 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s, things start to change a little bit in their training regimes and things. And, we just need to get them prepared and ready for youth football for their next stage of development.
Gareth, I come on to you next then. I had Ashley on a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, Ashley Hopkins is head of coaching. I've had so many questions after that conversation with him that have come up. I wanted to ask him sort of, there's been a transition, I think, over the last 12 to maybe 15 months with the first team. And in your role, sort of with the ages 13 to 16, I think you are in the youth phase, does changes in the first team? So obviously the play-in philosophy, I think, has gone far more possession focused with the first team. Again, going back to sort of the turn of 2022, you look at your Barcelona academies, it's whether you're 6 or 26, they play the Barcelona way. Is it something that's impacted yourself in the youth phase and the coaches that you sort of supporting that in regards to, right, we're going more possession focused now because that's something that the first team are doing? Or is there FAW curriculums you've got to follow? How does it all work?
Yeah. So basically, there is a curriculum. There's the Welsh way. I think on the back of the success from Euro 2016, when the Welsh team did so well, I think they tried to go away from there, have a look at the culture, the way they played, and basically then bring some through some fundamentals that they thought was the future for the young players, and to bring in a pathway. So in the youth phase, we focus on this 4 main areas: creating and exploiting overloads, switching play, breaking lines, and then final third. And we'll do, in a given week, we'll do, say a Tuesday night, we'll do in possession principles. Thursday night, we'll do out possession principles. And we'll follow a pretty strict, program in terms of working on those aspects of the game, because they are recognised by the FAW as key parts of the game. And if we can master those key parts of the game, then basically everything should flow from that. So yeah, the coaches, fair play. We prepare our session plans week in, week out, sort of setting sort of practices into motion to work on those principles. And it's those that we follow predominantly. I know you mentioned that the first team is perhaps more possession-based football this season. I think that fits in pretty well with the Welsh way, the Welsh philosophy. So teams are encouraged to play out from the back. So in the youth phases, we will try and play out from the back where we can. And it sort of follows right through the club and all the way down then into the foundation stuff with Dan. So yeah, it is a club-wide philosophy that we work to.
Fascinating. It's having not really been involved in the academy too much over the last few years, it's fascinating to see how at a national level things have progressed, and it's you're looking to make real big decisions and impact that's gonna, like you say, go through a young player's sort of progress then all the way up to senior football. So I feel like I've grilled the three of you to start off with on this episode. So we'll go a little bit more informal now. Again, we go in a bit of a circle to make sure that you all answer these. But firstly, in your time with the academy, you must have a favourite moment each. Steve, I'll come to you. You've got 12 years in the academy then. Any standout moments for you?
I think for me, probably 2 spring to mind. We played Cardiff City at home in a Welsh Cup game. I think it was a quarter final, possibly some years ago with Colin Fawcett as my assistant then. But that was obviously when Ben's brother Liam was playing. We lost 5-2 in extra time, but we drew 2-2 in normal time. But it was about, I think it must have been 300 to 400 at the ground watching us. Brilliant night, some great goals, and pitting your wits against professional teams is always fun. And then the second one then is away to Swansea City. That was in the quarter-final of the Welsh Cup, 1-1, and going into the final couple of minutes, and we conceded a really sloppy goal, and then probably 2 minutes into injury time, and then having to try and push for another, we lost another. So those 2 key sort of games spring to mind for me personally in my time.
That's good going. That any players that you remember from either of those opposing teams that have gone on?
Dan was part of the Swansea City one, and then obviously the Cardiff City one. Then you got the likes of Laurie Howarth, who I'm not sure whether he's playing at the Bridge or Guttick now. Obviously Liam Fawcett, who's out in Turkey currently as teaching. So yeah, there was those 3 spring to mind off the top of my head.
What an experience!
Well, sorry, Greg Walters as well would have been part of that at some stage as well.
Yeah, well, again, a great experience for them, and hopefully many of those nights under the lights to come for you.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was good.
I thought you were going to bring up the time that you made your debut for the first team.
It's not about me, Ryan.
Dan, I come on to you next then. How long have you been with the academy, Dan?
So I'll be going into 3 years now. We've moved back to Pembrokeshire from Swindon about 3 years ago. So I was lucky enough to get in touch with Steve through my best friend. So it's actually Steve's
step-brother-in-law.
Step-brother-in-law. I was trying to think of the word then. I completely blank. So yeah, he's my best mate, and he knew obviously we were coming home, and I sort of said to him, look, I still want to carry on coaching in the academy. I was up at Swindon at the time, and he put me in touch with Steve, and then the rest is history. Really, came back to Pembrokeshire again and got involved straight away with the academy. So yeah, about 3 seasons now. So it's been really, really good.
Okay, so you must have had some success stories along the way. Then what stands out for you?
I think probably since I then took the role of sort of head of foundation, and after obviously a couple of seasons now, bringing through our newest competitive team in the under-12s, and actually taking them out for their first game of a competitive season away to Taffs Wales, and sort of seeing the work that they'd sort of had over the previous 2 years with the philosophy that had been put in place, and going out and performing absolutely brilliantly and coming away, with a victory on the opening day of their competitive season, against a really, really strong side. So for me at the moment, that's probably my biggest thing with the academy at the moment, and I was very proud of it. It was a good thing to see.
Good stuff. Gareth, last but not least, again, what stands out for you in your time again?
Probably. I mean, Steve will remember it. It's pre-COVID, but let's say me, Steve, Foxy, you mentioned already tonight, Marcus Ciso, we arranged a tournament down at Bridge Meadow, and we literally had a Saturday and a Sunday. We had all the best players I would say all of South Wales, probably going up as far as Newtown. All the academies came down. We organised it. They came. The old adage, you arrange it, they'll come. Yeah. And we had such a good 2 days. All the academies came down. They were all raving about how good the tournament was. So I think that's really been the highlight for me, seeing hundreds of kids there, all good footballers, good standard of football, played really competitively, played in a good spirit, all down there trying to play good football, trying to win the tournament. It was great. That was a really good day. Loads, hundreds of parents around the stadium, around the ground, sitting in the grandstand watching. That was a really, really good day for good weekend for me. And the other thing, I just like to see our kids succeeding. At the moment, just speaking literally from the last few weeks, it's great to see Lucas Davis having some recognition up in Steve's age group with the colleges, playing for Wales. And then in the younger age groups, then again, it's in the youth phase, but down in the under 12s and the 13s, we've got Jaden Crawford, Will Corby. They're getting recognised now. They play games now for the FAW Academies side. So again, that's it's just that does it for me. These kids getting the recognition and the opportunities that perhaps they wouldn't ordinarily have if they weren't with us at the academy. So yeah, they're the two things for me at the moment that stand out.
Fair play, and that's excellent. And I think I saw across the social media just this week another member of the academies had an opportunity up the M4 with Swansea. So, like you say, things like that, having opportunities regionally or on the international stage is more of that we want to see. So, brilliant. The all-important question now then. Like I said, episode 20, I had Ashley on, and he picked the three of you in his five-a-side team. So, no pressure, but I went back to just to double check this. Dan, Ash picked you because he felt you were going to be a Tasmanian devil in defence.
Steve, I'm going to say he's not made my side. I saw him at a shop Tuesday night, and it was shocking. So he's not made it, unfortunately.
But Steve, he picked you purely because you're a postman and felt that your fitness was going to come in and assist the team. And I'll quote him here, Gareth. You were a good player back in the day. So, brutal. But you were picked. Gareth, I'll come to you first on this one, if I can then. Your five-a-side dream team from all of the coaches at the club.
Right. I think the goalkeeper's the most difficult position, because I think we're spoilt for choice in goals. I mean, we've got Debs, we've got Dan Evans, and we've got Rhys Mansell. So there's choices there. Who am I going to go for? Because it's five-a-side and small goals, I'll go for Dan Evans. He won't like that, but small goals, small person, he'll be fine in there. At the back, we'll go for Dicko. He'll be the stopper. He'll kick anything. He'll be a good stopper. I'll pick Ash, because I remember I was at Swansea as a kid, and Ash was, I think, year, 18 months older than me, so I can remember him being up there, so I better pick him. I picked Foxy as well. And who else will I pick? Can I pick myself?
Of course you can, yeah.
There we are, I'll pick myself.
Really? I can't believe you picked yourself. Unbelievable.
I scored the winner last night against the under-16s in training.
Love it.
Is it downwind again?
No, you asked Reece Daly and all that lot. Yeah.
Outstanding. Steve, I come to you next then. Who's your 5?
I think I'm going to have to agree with Dan. I think after signing Devsy from Goodwick to cover John Chester's and seeing some of his training sessions, I'm going to have to, sorry, Devsy, I'm going to have to go with Dan ahead of you. I think centre-halves, because I'm quite defensive and I like to build from the back, I go Gareth and Dicko. There's not much getting past them. Kerry Phillips would have been a close one during that. I'm probably going to have to stick Marco Siso in here. Obviously, Marco's not with us anymore in the academy, but you need a feisty, fiery guy to rile the opposition. So I think I'll stick him in there. Where did you used to play, Dan?
Oh, I was always on the bench, mate. I was there topping up everyone's water bottles, mate. It's fun.
You could be first aider then. All right, that's fair enough. Buddy. We'll go with Foxy as a midfielder, and then what are we waiting for? Just a striker, then, is it? Oh, my life. We'll have to go with. We'll go with Dan John as a false 9.
Nice.
Love that.
Yeah. We'll go with you as a false 9, the foil.
Love that, mate.
We can push Foxy and Marco on, yeah, definitely.
Love that.
Good shout. Dan, come on then. Your 5. It's got a rival. There's 2 good teams being picked there.
Oh, I've kind of gone for a vets team, I think. I've actually gone with Devsy in goal. And the only reason I have is that, I just think he puts the opposition players off just with the things that he says, the things that he does. I've gone alternative with Devs, definitely. Then I've gone a little bit feisty at the back, and I've obviously chucked Dicko in at the back. There's nothing going past Dicko. And then I've thrown a swerve ball in with Steph Attio alongside him as well. I think those two could probably talk the legs of a hind donkey, if I'm totally honest, and put any centre forward off coming through on goal for sure. Then I put Mr. Lewis in the middle of the park, just sweeping that ball around, right to left, left to right, breaking some lines, having an odd shot from 35 yards and top bins. And then I've gone for my mate Justin Blewett up front, still doing his thing out there on the pitches. I've gone with Blues up front.
Prolific goal scorer there, yeah. I don't know which team would win. I think we'll have to have a couple of 5-a-side games in reality, I think, and put it to the test. But no, good fun, good choices there, gents. Dan, I'm going to stick with you. And looking ahead now then, the foundation phase, where's the next fixture for you and how many games you got left this season?
Yeah, we've got 2 fixtures to go. This weekend we're home to Tafts Wales. So they're all travelling up to us. And then our last game of the season will be against Pembrokeshire. And that will also be at home as well. So 2 games to go. And it's been a really, really good season so far. Really, really good.
Brilliant. And personally, what's next for you, sort of qualifications-wise? Got your eye on anything?
Yeah, so my next step now is to obviously go in and take my UEFA A licence and go on that journey. I'm also taking my PFSA awards as well, so my scouting awards as well. So currently working my way through those. And just trying to add as many strings to my bow as I possibly can. The more things that I can go out and do, the more coaches that I can interact with, the more ideas that can come through, the more people that I speak to, it's just going to give greater knowledge, not only to me, but to the kids as well, So yeah, the more I can learn, hopefully the better everything will be.
Fantastic. Gareth, I'll come to you next then in the youth phase. Where's the fixture this weekend and how many have you got left now?
Yeah, we got a couple of games left as well. It pretty much follows the same pattern as Dan's. We've got Penabont and Taftswell left to play. So yeah, they're the fixtures there. In terms of career or sort of footballing career aspirations, yeah, same as Dan. I'd look to do my A license in due course. At the moment, quite happily tootling along on my, I've done my B license, putting it all into practice really. The way I look at it is every day's a school day in terms of coaching. You improve, you refine, you get better, and you learn more every day. So I'm quite happy tootling along with my B license at the moment. But yeah, ultimately you go for the A when I can.
Nice. Oh, I was going to say, well, to be fair, you're a solicitor, partner at sponsors the Price and Kelway down in Milford Haven. An excellent one too, I must admit. You've personally supported me buying a house 6 or 7 years ago now. So I was going to say what's next for you? You're juggling a lot as it is, but good luck with the A license for the peer review, I suppose. Steve, you achieved your A license a number of years ago now. Was it about 3 or 4 years ago, Steve?
Three or 4 years, yeah. It was about, I think it was about 7 or 8 years where it was a bit different. Then you had 3 years to pass it. Now I think it's all done in 12 months. But yeah, I was trying to juggle running an academy and doing my A license and a 52-hour week with my job. It was not much fun.
No, I can imagine. But you mentioned the sort of the development in the last couple of years with the sort of 16s and the crop. What does the sort of, say, short to medium term look like with the development squad now?
I think short term, I think from our point of view, I think we looked at being maybe a top 4 team on paper beginning of the season this year. We got 3 games left against Merthyr, Taftswell and Cwmbran, which we're currently sitting third of. We had a fantastic result against obviously Britain Ferry on Sunday, who were probably going to be champions, and we beat them 4-0, which is a fantastic effort from the lads. Sorry, I had to throw that one in. But one thing we did this year was we went really, really young because we knew there was a crop coming through the year behind. So next year we're looking at probably consolidating and maybe having a little push at top 3 next year. But I think over the next 2 years, the Under-18s Youth Cup is the Welsh Youth Cup is certainly something we need to be having a serious look at, especially with so many youngsters still involved in, the likes of Seth, Lucas. Obviously, we lose Yori, but Jay, John Chester's, the list just goes on at the moment. We're such a young team, and we're pulling out results like we did on Sunday. And then obviously from the player side, then just trying to develop over the next 2 to 3 years. Obviously, you've got Gareth's group behind that again. So I think over the next 2 to 3 years, it's just trying to supply another. I'll use the 5 number, but trying to supply another 3 to 5 players to the first team. And then from my personal perspective, I mean, I just try. Somebody just said just now about every day sort of a learning day, and I do try and educate myself as much as possible, but try and pass on as much knowledge that people want to tap into. Obviously, 12 years of the academy, there is plenty to pass on. But yeah, that's for me really just trying to help everybody out.
Well, it's exciting to hear that. I think, the more local talent emerging can only be a win-win situation for everybody, I suppose. So, yeah, again, congratulations to where the academy is currently. You're all, doing an excellent job across all the ages, and it's great to hear the success that is coming organically from that. With regards to the first team, then, in the short term there, after a 4-0 victory last time out against Airbus UK this past weekend, we remain top of the playoff conference, and we are now 4 points ahead of Carnarvon, who we welcome this weekend for a 2:30 p.m. kickoff at the Oggy Bridge Meadow. Must say the rain didn't put off an excellent crowd last weekend, so fingers crossed for another big, noisy crowd, that really does support the team. It certainly acted like the 12th man on the weekend and got the boys over the line. Gents, you hoping to be at the game yourself this weekend?
I personally will be, yeah.
I reckon I'll be playing, but if I'm off, I'll be there.
Dan, to be fair, you're at most games. Are you there this weekend?
I'm hoping to be there this weekend. It depends if work pulls me in on a Saturday shift or not.
Okay.
Hoping to be.
I think it's a bit of a must watch game this weekend. Obviously, they beat us 2-0 a couple of weeks ago in the first game of phase 2, so it's the return fixture, and with a lot riding on it potentially. Gents, thank you. It's been really insightful about your roles in the academy. Appreciate you're all busy men, so giving up your evenings to chat to us is much appreciated. Good luck for the rest of the season, and again, congratulations. All the hard work seems to be paying off. Fingers crossed. I'll see you on the weekend at the Carnarvon game.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ryan.
Cheers, Ryan. Nice, mate.
Cheers, Ryan. Look after yourself. All the best.